So the panel was founded in 1963 by moms of kids working to desegregate public schools across the state. Some of you may remember the Central High Crisis, and that wound down some of the Women's Emergency Committee were done and tired, justifiably. Others thought that there might be a few other issues somewhere else in the state, and wanted to keep going, and they founded what was then the Panel of American Women. And 9 years later, there were enough men involved who were insecure about the name that we changed the name to the Arkansas Public Policy Center. And I was too. And so we've really grown over the years since then, and tried a lot of strategies. In the 70s and 80s, we were more of a policy group. We wrote reports on what was wrong with this issue or that issue. We did demonstration projects on everything from welfare reform to training single moms for better careers to tax reform. And what we learned from that experience was that a lot of times we had really good data, we had really great information, we had a few really passionate leaders, and the lawmakers could have cared less. Or maybe they cared that much, but they didn't care a lot. We didn't pass a lot of reform. Some of the tax reports that we did in the 80s are as valid today as they were way back then. And so the analysis changed. The analysis became, what's really critical in Arkansas for making progress is getting people involved in the process on issues that they personally care about, and then bring those people together with one another to work where they have collective interests. And that's our core strategy today. We have a team of organizers focused in South Arkansas communities, helping organize, particularly in rural communities of color. You wouldn't believe some of the things that still happen in Arkansas. We have candidates in the polling place looking over your shoulder while you try to vote. We have people who don't live in the city being elected to represent the city on their city council. We have, Bruce can tell you, judges threatening to throw you in jail because they don't like your argument very much. We've helped communities tackle those problems. We've also, in one community, had helped them address, they had a water system that 70% of the water they treated at their water treatment plant never made it to a faucet because their pipes were so leaky, and their city government was so dysfunctional they hadn't been able to address it for 100 years, and we helped them address that. And so that's the range of issues that we tackle in those rural communities. We do a lot of work around education reform. Most of our members across the state view education as sort of one of the fundamental pillars to economic opportunity and civil rights. On education, some of you may know education is a very polarizing topic, far more than it should be. There's a lot of wild theories about what we should do and what we shouldn't do, but there's also a really solid body of evidence about what works and what's been proven to work. And we focus sort of like a laser on the things that we know would work if they were done tomorrow, but Arkansas just lacks the political will to do them, like expanding pre-K, after-school summer programs, quality teacher development, nutrition programs for hungry kids. If we did those things tomorrow, kids would start doing better the next day. And one of the things about education that's particularly frustrating is there's certain folks who sort of have given up their faith in the public education system at all, and it started attacking it. And most of us know that Arkansas's education system has things to be desired of. But since the Lakeview ruling in 2003, we actually have the fastest improving education system in the country in Arkansas. And I'm real proud of that, but we're focused really hard on trying to make sure that we keep making progress, especially for those kids that still haven't yet seen very much improvement in their schools. So education is a big part of our agenda. And then Rob mentioned we have a couple of coalitions. We really feel strongly that we need to bring the state together for a lot of different reasons. One is for political power, so that we have folks that can talk to legislators in South Arkansas who live in their districts about what's important to them, and folks in North Arkansas that can talk to their legislators, and that's how you create the coalitions to pass legislation at the Capitol. We also think it's important to bring black and white and Latino people together, and gay and straight people together, and rural and urban people together, simply so we can strengthen our community and get to know one another and be our candidates together. A lot of times we live in two segregated communities. I certainly live personally in a bubble in my town or neighborhood in Little Rock. And we also, finally, we think that we make a lot better strategies when we bring people together from different income levels, different communities, because we all have a different piece of the puzzle for what makes good policies. We have a saying that the people who are affected by policy should be at the table helping create it. A lot of times folks dream up something in Little Rock that doesn't work nearly as well as they thought it should when they in Fayetteville and they dreamed it up in Little Rock. And it makes a lot more sense to have the people from Fayetteville at the table helping create it, pointing out the potential challenges with it while we do it. So that's sort of fundamental to our strategy, organizing communities across the state to be involved in the political process and then bringing those communities together to create change. And this is actually, I've now been the director for 15 years, which is shocking to me when I think about it. This is all Rob's fault, actually. I was a poor student in Colorado, and I found Rob's name on a volunteer guide of the Sierra Club. It's called Rob, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And if you grow up in Oklahoma, you look at Arkansas as the liberal bastion on the hill. I know here it doesn't always feel like that, but trust me, go to Oklahoma and try this. Yes, that's true. So I had always wanted to come to Arkansas. I spent a lot. My sister lived here for 20 years, and I loved it here. Worked at Herman's Steakhouse, and so I called Rob out of the blue and said, "This is who I am. This is what I want to do. Is there anyone in Arkansas that does this?" And he said, "Well, there's this woman, Brownie Ledbetter. She's a little nutty, but you might give her a call at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel." And I did, and she offered me a job. I moved here the next week, and I thought I'd be here 2 years to go to graduate school. That's good. The thing that I was asked actually by someone yesterday, sort of what sticks out for that time period, and what really sticks out to me is you can imagine if you were in that community where you had a candidate looking over your shoulder while you're trying to vote, and how frustrating that must be to see, a 85% African American town electing an all-white city council and a white mayor year after year after year after year because you're being intimidated at the polls. And what we've been able to do is not solve that problem for that community, but help that community solve the problem themselves. And that's the most powerful thing that we do. It's community after community. I remember one of the first organizing projects I did when I moved here was a town in Malvern. There was a fiberboard manufacturing plant, Willamette, and they made fiberboard by basically a mattress-looking frame, fill it full of wood fiber, spray it down with a formaldehyde-based resin, and a big stamp went boom. And when the big stamp went boom, the neighbors around there got about 3 inches of wood, formaldehyde-soaked wood fiber snowing on their houses a day. And their kids had rashes, and their cattle were dying, and the state wasn't doing anything about it. And we helped organize the community in Malvern, and we had 100 people at the Department of Environmental Quality hearings about it, and we actually shut the plant down. Not permanently, but until they put in the right pollution control equipment. And if you can think about someone in Malvern living with that year after year after year, and them suddenly finding their voice with their neighbors to go make that change and improve their community so that doesn't happen anymore, and how powerful that was to them and how much it improved their lives, that's why we do the work at the panel, is those stories and those people around the state. And so finally, we can't do that without y'all. We need, it costs money, it takes a lot of energy, and so we really, your support really helps us pay for our organizers. We spend a couple $100,000 a year just on gasoline, because this is a rural state, and our organizing director puts about 50,000 or 60,000 miles on her car per year. Our phone bills are enormous, but also your all's support really means a lot to us personally in terms of the emotional strength it takes to do this work day in and day out. And so it really means a lot to see you all here, to talk about the work with you all, and know that we have partners in every corner of the state. It means an awful lot. I think that's about covers the work. The other part that I'll tell you is some of you may know that the political landscape in Arkansas is shifting pretty radically. And so, we've historically been a very nonpartisan organization. The communities that we work in are picking issues that make their lives better. They're not picking issues because they think it's good for Democrats or good for Republicans. And we've taken those issues historically to lawmakers with the community to help get those issues addressed. And we had, we worked with Governor Huckabee to create a state Department of Agriculture and fought a bunch of Democrats. We've worked with Democrats to do an awful lot just recently voter ID got overturned by the courts. We've worked hard against that legislation that was 100% voted. Only Republicans voted for that bill, not a single Democrat voted for that. so we've played both sides of it. That's becoming more difficult as sort of a Washington style of polarization enters the state. And so the way that we're engaging in that is we are trying to do more work in elections to educate voters about the issues that our members think are critical. Education reform, climate change, clean water, fair tax and healthy state budget, that sort of platform that, again, our members elected. We didn't create it. We didn't make it because it's good for Democrats, good for Republicans. We made it because it makes communities better. So we want to make sure voters know what those issues are, know what the candidates' positions are about those issues, and that they go out and vote once they have that information. And so we use some of your support for that. If any of you have the ability, checks to the Arkansas Public Policy Panel are tax deductible, which is great, but limit a little bit what we can do politically. If any of you would like to being invested a little bit more in our electoral work, text your assistance with Congress we can send to do a little bit more direct issue advocacy. So again, I really appreciate it. We're humbling to see everybody. Our staff, Allison and Bruno and Beth, did a fantastic, beautiful. Rob and Sarah Helen, thank you for having us and letting us engage with that. So with that, I'm going to turn over our board member, Bruce McMath, and he's going to bring us up.
I'm going to physically speaking past the hat.
You never found the physical hat?
No hat.
No hat.
Judge Oliver Wendell Holmes is charged that Leflar challenged him one day, "Don't you hate paying taxes?" To which he replied, "No, young fella. Taxes is how I buy civilization." And it's a great quote. When you think about it, after you've got food on the table and a roof over your head, it's often what we buy together that most enhances the quality of life. And that comes through government. Comes through collective action through government. And that's a wonderful thing, and so we pay our taxes, but what we're learning more and more every day, particularly here in the South, is paying taxes doesn't get you civilization on that. This is the problem. You got to have a civilized government. And to have a civilized government, you have to engage the people at the bottom of the pyramid. You have to engage people. You have to educate people. You have to empower people. And we don't have that tradition in the South. And that's part of our problem. It's a progressive person. In the past, we depended on churches, fraternal organizations, labor unions to educate and engage people. Fraternal organizations don't exist anymore. The labor unions have all but vaporized, and a lot of the churches are co-opted. We have a vacuum. Whereas the other side has worked this arduously, day, and they don't wait for elections. They do it every day. They've got a message. As disruptive and retrograde as it is, they are constantly with the same message. And on the progressive side, we have campaigns and we try to win the campaign and then we forget it. If you look at progressive states around the country, they've got public policy plans. Lots of them. And they work the issues. They organize their community. They educate, empower, and inform the citizens about the issues that are automatically important to them because they're issues in their lives. But that connect to the reality, we've got to have government. We've got to have progressive conquest in our society by hitting these issues about your water, not your water system doesn't work, and so forth and so on. That's what the panel does, and it's the only organization I know of that's doing that now. And so we have those of us who want to see things saved, if not improved, have to support the panel. And so that's my pitch. I don't have a hall tax tax. Bob said he has one, he can't find it, but there is a pitch there. So thank you for your attention.
If anybody has any questions or whatnot, I'd be happy to answer them, or we can also just hang out and drink. In our organization, we have, I believe at this moment, 12 staff members. So, I only have a third of our staff members who are
for the train back.